Good evening, everybody, and welcome back. Tonight I have a returning guest. Tony Pantalleresco is here with me. He is joining us to talk about some remedies that are useful for us and our bodies and our minds. His website is augmentinforce.com. Tony, welcome to Night Flight.
Thank you for having me. Appreciate you being on your show.
So, Tony, I had a question from a listener, and the only thing he said was, can you ask Tony to elaborate a little bit more on tinnitus?
Doesn't exist.
Okay.
Never has existed. What they're getting from the medical field is a cover-up, major cover-up. It's all bullshit, all of it. When they started putting out these antennas, and this was initiated back in the 1960s when they were starting putting up the AM and FM antennas. The AM antenna is an amplitude modulation antenna, which means that it picks up whatever beams are in the air and on a scattering. In other words, if the beams or frequencies are scattered, it has to hit the antenna, or if the antenna is moving into the arena. But if it's FM, it's frequency modulation. That means the beam is directly going to the antenna. So when they built AM and FM radio way back in the day, they had these high towering antennas. And that's when people started hearing this ringing of the ears, because the frequency was going into the brain. You cannot hear a microwave, but your brain can. So the buzzing noises, the high-pitched shrills, the hums, the tones that you're hearing is coming from a tower or your cell phone or your iPad or anything that you're using that has to do with Wi-Fi. Any frequency that's being emitted is going to hit your body or hit your brain. And because they've loaded the body up over decades of nano poisoning, nanomaterials, nanometal, nanobiology, nanobiotech, synthetic biology, you become a walking, talking transceiver. So when these frequencies are on and turned on in very high pitch, and usually when you hear a super high pitch, your weather is going to change within the next 12 to 24 hours, guaranteed. That's not tinnitus. That's your body responding, your brain responding to the frequencies that they're emitting. And some of those frequencies can be downloading a program into your brain without you being aware of it. Since you can't hear it, the brain can, you won't know what's going on.
I remember that you mentioned that last night, and not last night, during the last show. And since then, I have been paying attention to that, and it's actually true. And sometimes, as I just told you off camera, they changed the weather so rapidly. That happened here last Wednesday, that I felt like I'm falling apart.
Well, yeah, I mean, your DNA is being literally scrambled, torn to pieces. DNA strands are being broken all the time. Your genetic code is being disrupted. It's being broken. You have to understand, this was a three-way attack. First, they disengaged everybody by putting glyphosates in the food supply and other pesticide material and smart dust, smart technology, smart bots into the food supply. They put silica into the food supply, which again, silica disengages any communications between the cells, which shuts down any DNA communications, and it too breaks down the DNA strands. So you were disengaged. Your immune system's in your guts. All that bacteria, all the acids are in your gut, are there to fight off and keep you alive and keep you functioning. Then they fed you with a genetically engineered material, transgenetics, muted genetics, nanogenetics, all kinds of things. And again, that when it got into the body, it started to reorganize or restructure your program. It was the Trojan horse. It was designed to go in, to look like your DNA. That's what XNA does. XNA can copy your DNA and look exactly like your DNA, engage the DNA, cover the broken strands or the broken double strands in the helix, can now integrate a new program, and now it is got in to alter your reaction, your immune system's reaction, your digestive system's reaction, your heart's all the reactions. And then they turn it on by hitting you with frequencies. And we're being hit with over 1,000 different frequencies daily. The worst ones are the ones on the terahertz section. Okay, they are the worst because the terahertz frequency it's a two-hit frequency. It's an infrared and a microwave together, and infrared is a form of microwave. So when you are getting hit with a terahertz, the infrared takes the frequency 4 inches deep into the body, almost nine centimeters into the body. 8.5 centimeters, 8.5 centimeters into the body. So you got that going on, and then when that microwave follows it, it completely causes a major breakdown. And then it releases the hydrogen molecules in your cells, which allows these terahertz frequencies to amplify even more, penetrating even deeper. All these products in the health food industry are pumping this new hydrogen supplementation. It's insanity. It's a total Trojan horse. It's all bullshit, all of it. So the C60 is another one that they've been selling. That gets caught up that goes right to the brain, embeds itself into the brain. Now they can hear the brain's frequencies and they can modulate transmissions to the brain, making it easier to transmit to your system, downloading whatever they want to download. And it causes brain damage, and it too causes DNA damage. So all the horse hockey that these guys are talking about in the advertise, these are all NASA agents, every one of them. Nobody should believe anything coming out of NASA. Nothing. If they got something good coming out, it's a total bogus pile of rubbish. They have been experimenting on the planet, dumping radiation in major cities, turning on EMF fields and ELF fields in major cities. Now they're partly responsible for the chemtrailing, so they can quote unquote take samples. They're dumping lithium on everybody. And then you go to a health food store and some doctor, some jackass is promoting lithium. Oh, it's lithium orotate, not carbonate. It's not the same thing. It's such bullshit. The orotate is an acid that will actually cause the lithium to embed even deeper into the brain, and it doesn't come out. And if some should come out, it can destroy the kidneys. You're getting your daily dose of lithium every day just by going outside. So these guys that are propagating this crap, for the most part, are not your friends. They're not on your side. They're doctors, supposedly with a degree or certification and some knowledge. They don't have any knowledge when it comes to vitamins and supplementation. You probably, as a consumer, know more than your doctor. These guys don't have a clue. They're not trained in it. They're trained in pharmacopoeia. They're trained to treat a disease and allow the host to die. That's what they're trained to do. When you got cancer, they treat cancer. They don't treat you. They treat the cancer. They should be treating you to boost your immune system's capacity or your lymphatic system's capacity to remove any excess buildup that may be triggering the cancers. They're not treating you. They are treating the disease. They're sustaining the disease's capacity to maintain its functionality in you as a host. That's what they're doing. And so when you start, it's a word game. It's a word crafting game. Oh, we're going to treat the disease. What a load of horseshit. That's not what they should be doing. The doctors today are the most incompetent when it comes to healing. They can sew you back together if you break an arm, or if you get into you need an operation, they can cut you open and not kill you and sew you back. And that's usually a cluster mess as well, because they're always putting chips and stuff in people now. But as far as actually helping the body heal, they've not healed anything. Zero, nada, post-Second World War. Okay, before the Second World War, people would go to a doctor and they'd get results. You haven't seen that since the end of the Second World War. And the doctors that were still propagating, trying to find answers like Cathcart or Pauling or Ross or Kettering, were constantly under the gun, being ostracized for what they were doing. So we're not in that day of age where you go to a doctor and you can trust them. Majority of them aren't worth a filler's fart. You know, you got 1 or 2% in the medical field that knows anything. That's about all you got. The rest of them are just basically marketing the drugs, or selling you vitamins and health foods, making you think, oh, I'm a doctor, I'm whatever, and they put on that whole bullshit image of how they're concerned about your health, and they know they can help you because they're doctors. They can't help you because they're doctors. They can only help you if they're informed.
Yeah. And I think there is a huge problem. To my best knowledge, the doctors don't know about all these frequencies and what is really going on there. They have no understanding of that.
Oh, I think a lot of them do. I there are some that don't have a clue. I agree, but I think a lot of them do have understanding. But they're not. Again, they're not there to fix you. They're not there
Okay.
to treat you. They're there to treat the disease. So in other words, let's say you get hit with a frequency and your DNA strands are being broken down, and your DNA is not able to communicate with your immune system. They will keep that function in that manner, that way, because they know that it's keeping that they're treating the problem, not the person.
Yeah. So, in other words, if somebody is suffering from this so-called tinnitus, save your money. The
Yeah, save your money. If it really is tinnitus, then you have a phosphorus deficiency. So go either get
a what deficiency?
phosphorus.
Ah, okay.
Okay. Let's say the canal gets plugged up with wax, and so you get a pitching noise because of the body trying to tell you that you got to clean your ears or whatever. Use phosphorus. The phosphorus will take the wax, build up in your ears, and release it. Don't be surprised if you feel something coming out of your ears sometimes. That's what the phosphorus does. So you can use trisodium phosphate. You could use sunflower lecithin. You can use bone meal. You can use a phosphorus supplement. You can use phosphatidylcholine, phosphatidylserine. Well, you can use these because they are phosphorus. You can use IP6 as well. If you really have it, and you take these supplements and it goes away, you can eat eggs as well, then you have that condition. But if you take all these supplements and it doesn't go away, you don't have tinnitus, and most people don't. I'd say if the percentage of people having tinnitus is very, very, very low.
Yeah.
Probably not even, I bet you not even 2%.
Hmm. I remember a couple of years back, I had a scuba diving accident,
Okay.
and they took me into this decompression chamber,
Yeah.
and it was really a huge one, and multiple people could sit there, and all the rest of the people that were sitting there, they were all treated for tinnitus. So, and that is very costly, this decompression chamber. And, but none of them really had very good results.
No, because it doesn't exist.
Yeah.
That's what I mean. It's a cash cow for the look. Majority of these health issues that the doctors are proclaiming are coming from the psychology department, the psychiatric department, and they're calling everything a disease. It's all horse hockey. Sometimes a stiff back is just overworked muscles, and they'll give it some sort of Latin name with this 90-mile syllable disease behind it. You've got blah, 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 and so now we need to give you a drug. The
Mm.
doctors have not cured nothing. Zero. Nada. Since the beginning of the 1950s. Everything I look at today is pre 1983 and back. I'll even go back into the 1800s when I look at some of the things I look at sometimes. Because back in those days, they were actually treating people. Treating people, not the disease, treating people. And people were recovering. What person do you know goes to a doctor today and comes back away from the doctor completely healed? They're constantly going back to renew a prescription. Why is that? That doesn't make sense.
Yeah. And usually that also doesn't help.
Well, for sure. I mean, that's like I said, they're not going to be dealing with nanopoisoning, nanotoxicology, chemtrail fallout damage, DNA damage, genetic damage, smart bots, smart dust, smart tech damage that's in the food that you're eating. They're not going to be dealing with that for at least another 10 to 15 years. By that time, most of the population on the planet will have some kind of side effect or some kind of anomaly going on as a result of this technology. It's already starting. It's already exploding. People are calling me all the time, telling me they've got what they call more gallons. Some it's not more gallons. It's nanopoisoning. It's nanobiotech poisoning. It's synthetic biology that you're being infected with. And then when I tried to go explain it, and I feel like a broken record most of the time because I keep repeating the same thing. And I explain to them how it's assault of their body, how it builds top down, bottom up, so forth and so on. The medical field to this very day has still not acknowledged nanopoisoning, and nanotechnology is a $2.7 trillion a year business. They're not going to come out and speak against it, because if they do, they will lose whatever access to practicing their medicines. Just like the vaccines are now using nanotechnology, using nano to transfer the whatever pathologies that they want. You know, the poisoning of these materials in the nanoscale is worse than the mercury. It's worse than the aluminum.
Mm-hmm. I would like to go back a little bit to our foods. From your best knowledge, is, let's say, like TV dinners and pre-packaged foods that you just, and then people put it in the microwave, which is...
Yeah, give me more, yeah.
I don't have a microwave in my kitchen, and I never will have.
Well,
So,
microwaves are good because you can take them apart and get good parts out of them, make weapons of mass healing with them. You just got to know how to do it. But yeah. No, okay. All those things you're mentioning, I mean, I wouldn't feed them to a pig. Honest to God, I wouldn't even feed them to a pig. First, they're in an aluminum tin can of some kind, or it's now this plastic polymer material for microwaving.
yeah.
That stuff is all nanotechnology, number one. Number two, when you heat up something through a microwave, you're creating an electromagnetic field to go through everything in that food. You're disengaging everything because it's a high, powerful field that you're putting your food through. So basically, by the time you get the food out of the microwave, there's nothing left. If there was any nutritional value to begin with, it's all gone at that point. The only thing microwave is good for is microwaving water, so if you can get a radioactive water to experiment and do stuff with. When you're talking anything out of a box, bag, or can, okay, it's all going to be loaded with some kind of nano silver. They said that. Now we see soups that are salt free or 1/3% salt because they've added silver to the food. And silver and salt produces a sodium chloride, or sorry, silver chloride, which eventually will turn your skin gray, not blue, gray. They're putting over here anyway, I don't know about Germany or Europe, but here they are putting nano silver in all the meat.
Yeah,
So,
I don't eat meat, so okay.
meat,
I
chicken,
have never investigated it, how it is here. I couldn't tell.
any form of animal protein, doesn't matter what you eat. The whole concept of being a vegan to me, like I said, is the dumbest thing you can do, because the vegan diet is completely a deficient nutrient diet. It's loaded to the hilt with all this nanotechnology from the sky, from what they're spraying in the field, what they're putting in the silo, the nanobots they're putting in there with the smart technology, smart bot technology. It makes no smart sensor technology. It makes no sense to be eating any vegetable that's above the ground. It should be below the ground. Some people argue well, it can absorb most of the pesticides there. That may or may not be true. But irregardless, it will filter out the bulk of the exposure from what you're eating on the surface. I tell people all the time, go get a scope. Go get a 60x lens loop scope, 80x, 100x, whatever. That's all you need. The concentration of the particulates on the vegetation will be so high that you'll think, well, I can wash it off. And I'll say, oh, you better go get a steel wool pad and some soap, scrub the vegetable, and you'll still find it won't take it off because it's embedded in the DNA. Now, with the animals, of eating animal proteins or animal foods, they will filter out some of that for you. Not all of it, but some of it. Some will still get through, because the animal's liver will filter it, their kidneys will filter it, their lymphatic system will filter it. They act as a filter. Now, the mainstream scientists know this, that are assaulting mankind, And so now they're going to want to manufacture meat out of a lab, saying that the cows are causing all these environmental issues, all the methane that, when they fart causes, methane to occur in the atmosphere.
Yeah. But in general, you would say that it is much better to prepare your food from scratch?
It doesn't matter.
Yeah,
It doesn't matter whether it's fresh. I mean, anything out of a box bag or can you shouldn't be eaten anyway. I mean, there's few exceptions, like a can of tuna. It's just the salt water and fish. That's all it is. I mean, there's some exceptions like that. A powdered potato, that's all it's got in it is a sort of a sulfur and potato, nothing else, no soy or anything like that. There are canned milk, like your condensed milk. Those are usually pretty clean. I mean, there are some exceptions, but as a whole, it doesn't matter if you buy fresh flour that's just milled from the mill to go make your bread. It's loaded with nano. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter because you got to remember, by the time that guy gets that flour to mill it, it's been sitting in a silo sprayed with nanosilica, nanosilver, smart dust technology, smart sensor technology. It's loaded. The silica is just about on everything you can store in a silo, whether it be beans, whether it be peas, whether it be corn, whether it be any grain, any kind of seed. It's all got this shit on it. And that's, again, on a nano scale. So that not only coats the surface, but it starts to embed into the food itself. So whether you make it fresh or not, it'll be better than buying it in a box bag or can, for sure. Because now you have more control. When for instance, I'm cooking meat, if I'm cooking lamb or I'm cooking duck or chicken or whatever, I'll put it in a frying pan, I'll put vinegar in there, and I'll put either onion, garlic, or some kind, or trisodium phosphate mixed with it, so that the acid will break down the animal protein, embed this material inside the meat I'm eating, animal protein, so that when I eat it, it actually will bind to that material that's inside the meat and pull it out the door. And salt has a way of cleansing the cells. So, and then when you eat it, the acid has broken down the protein bonds when you cook it. Because when you heat up meat, it causes the bonds to integrate and solidify. But when you cook it with an acid, it breaks those bonds down so that when you eat the meat, it's not sitting heavy in the gut. It's actually very light, and you digest it very quickly because it doesn't have to break those bonds apart. The vegetable matter today, unless the vegetable has a high concentration of cellulase, which is an enzyme that breaks down vegetation fiber, if that has been compromised, you're not going to be able to digest the stuff anyway. It's just going to collect and cause problems on the inside.
I collect what inside?
Will collect the particles and stuff will collect on the inside. In other words, it's not going to break down, so it may just sit in your gut and then it starts to rot.
Mm-hmm. So, is there any way to get rid of that nonsense before we prepare it?
You can use sodium thiosulfate to chelate. You can use EDTA to chelate sodium EDTA. You can use something called DTPA. You can use the trisodium phosphate. You can use pectin. But like I said, this is going to be an ongoing thing daily. You're eating stuff, and you're going to be during the day sometime taking other things to help, again, bind with the stuff in the colon and pull it out. You have to understand, depending on how old you are, when you were born or whatever, if you were a 1950s baby like myself, that's when we were initiated. We were the prototype. 1960s when they started to really activate the program. So when you're seeing some of the stuff that's been going on for quite some time, you're pretty well loaded already. So it's just a matter now. It's a daily detox. Whatever you're eating, you're some form or fashion you're going to try to pull out, or you're going to bind with whatever you're eating. So these are the things that you're going to have to do today. The only other option you have is to go to an indoor greenhouse, like in a basement or some part of the room, where they have little pots you can grow, let's say rosemary and peppermint and thyme and bay leaf and whatever, or onion and garlic and things of this nature. Because you can't depend on your system of government, no matter where you live, it's going to do the best thing for its citizenry. It's just not going to happen. They don't care.
So, and what kind of detoxification would be, yeah, let's say practical on a day-to-day level that we can easily integrate?
I just use Epsom salt. Teaspoon of Epsom salt into a liter of water. Add a half a teaspoon of borax with it. Now you got stuff that pulls radiation out of the body. Now you got stuff that pulls aluminum out of the body. Now you got stuff that can chelate with some of the nanomaterial in the body. See, Epsom salt is magnesium sulfate, and the borax, or boron is what it is, trisodium borate. It will amplify the effect of the magnesium 13-fold. So any aluminum that might be in the body that might be collecting this will help. I give this to women all the time to take because women are super susceptible to aluminum. It becomes a metalloestrogen and can affect the endocrine system of the women's physiology. So that gets rid of that. The boron also and the magnesium fortify the foundation, the skeletal foundation. The boron pulls out radiation from the body, so does the sulfur. The sulfur also acts as a chelating binding agent, but it too converts to glutathione up the way. So it's the simplest, cheapest, and easiest way to do this. Now I know in Europe, some of the countries there have a hard time finding borax or boron because the Codex Elementary and the other thing you guys have there, what's actually the other thing called? What's the other regulating body? You got two regulating bodies there. You got the Codex Alimentarius and you got
Yeah,
another
I
one.
understand, and it slips my mind as well, but I know what you mean.
They have basically screwed the Europeans. They said this is poison, that's poison, and it's really not. Yet they'll give you tin and say it's okay to have some tin. It's okay to have lithium, but you can't have. That's like I look at this. I think, who wrote this for these people?
Mm-hmm. So let me repeat. It is borax. Then it is what was the magnesium?
Epsom salt.
Epsom salt. Epsom salt, magnesium, and borax.
Well, you don't need magnesium. Epsom salt has magnesium in it.
Okay, good. So, and then how many parts borax and how many parts Epsom salt?
1 teaspoon of Epsom salt, half a teaspoon of borax, mix it in the 1 liter of distilled or reverse osmosis water.
With water. How much water?
A liter.
A liter. Okay, good. Sorry, I didn't hear that.
That's okay.
And you drink that.
You sip on that all day. Don't just guzzle it. Sip. Just like when you get thirsty, take a little drink out of it, and do that all day long. And that will keep the stuff in the system all day long, which will help disengage some of the material from binding into the body, and you'll constantly flushing it out.
Mm-hmm. Let's say we really cannot find any borax. Would you have a substitute for that?
You can try sodium phosphate with it. It's another thing you could use. Or let me think here. You could even try pectin.
Pectin. Mm-hmm.
Pectin. Again, probably about 1/5 of a teaspoon of that in there with it. That will help collect stuff and get it out of the system. I've not had anybody have a problem not getting borax in Europe. They just, okay, say you live in Germany, you can't get it in Germany, but you can order it from France. Or if you live in France, you can't get it in France, you can order it from Germany. That's what I've been finding going on with the Europeans I've contacted with. I got people in the Netherlands buying stuff from Yugoslavia, or they're buying stuff from India, or they're buying stuff from Germany, or they're buying stuff from Switzerland or Sweden or whatever, right? Thing is, over there, you have to hunt around more. So where the European Union comes to benefit you is that you're able now to shop in other countries and bring it to your home.
Yeah. So, and you already mentioned that it gets rid of aluminum.
Big time.
That's good.
If you're a woman, a lot of the breast cancers is a direct result of nano poisoning, whether it be nano aluminum or other nanoparticulates which would have collected in the lymphatic system. So this
Yeah.
helps, again, disengage that connection and that binding to the lymph nodes and also to the estrogen receptor sites, because the estrogen receptor sites then become active as a result of the aluminum. So usually when a woman produces estrogen in the body for her reproductive system, you can tell the breasts are a little bit more pumped up, they're a little bit more toned, they're a little bit more firm. In the course of 24 hours, the breasts will soften up, indicating that the body is using the estrogen, now is removing it from the system. But with a metalloestrogen, it can activate those receptors and overload those receptors. And then what happens is then that's when it becomes cancerous. And then what women do is they go in and they get a mammogram, which brings the cancer on. So this is what they do to women. You sit in a chair and they slam this device on your breast. I think it's like 50,000 pounds per square inch. The blood vessels inside the breast area literally explode. So you have small hemorrhaging going on in the capillaries, which releases copper and iron. Copper and iron now has been separated from the cells. Within the cell, they're safe, but when they're exposed outside, they're very carcinogenic. Then they hit you with an X-ray, causing the copper and the iron to become radioactive. Then they call you up about a week later. Oh, Miss So-and-so, oh, we found the spot. It's because they put the spot there. Never ever do a mammogram. You do thermography, not a mammogram. Thermography, you go in, your top side is bare. They chill the room. They hit you with an infrared. Nothing invasive. The infrared sees what you've got there, and it's just as effective as the mammograms without damage.
Mm. I get every year, I guess, I get an invitation for my free mammogram, and I never go.
If your breast ain't bothering you, don't bother. Because
Yeah.
if you go, you're going to have a problem. It's I don't know how many women I talk to on that issue, and I tell them never get that done again. It will cause cancer. It's not trying to find anything. They're just trying to they are trying to create the problem so that now you get into the fear tactic. They got you in the psychological, because it doesn't take much with women. Just put a little fear in a woman, and she basically will do whatever you tell her to do. That's what the medical field, they know the psychology there. So, and then if you reinforce that fear continually, oh, you're going to get cancer, don't get done right now, it's you're going to die, oh, and you're going to die, and you're going to die, oh, we got to do something right away to save your life, oh, we're going to die. That's the bullshit. And women fall for it all the time. So you got to not go. It's just better you don't go. Go get a thermography. It's a lot safer. Your breasts are not going to be in pain after the treatment. You ever notice you go to a doctor after you get done with you, you're more in pain than when you came in? That's what happens. So this is a lot more conducive to a realistic examination to see if you really have a problem, as opposed to having your breast slammed with 50,000 pounds per square inch of pressure, bursting your blood vessels, causing bruising, and then having them irradiate it with an X-ray. Makes no sense. And the other thing you don't do either, don't do a pap smear. I never got that.
Hey,
Tell a
what?
woman, a pap smear.
Oh,
When you spread your legs and they take a knife and they take a sample from inside your vaginal area, a slight sample, that's also causing cancer. Okay, they are not there to make you guys. They're not there for your benefit on that. If you're douching regularly, let's say after every menstrual cycle, you go and give yourself a vinegar and water douche, add a little iodine. That's going to do far more for you than them cutting you with a blade. That's all you really need to be doing. Don't let them cut you. If they tried that with a man, there'd be a fight. So avoid that.
okay. So that is what they do to women. What are they doing to men?
Nothing. Well, let's put it this way: a man is not going to let you come at him with a knife on his genitals. Ain't going to happen.
Mm-hmm.
Now, what they're doing to men, how they're hijacking the men, is they're damaging their prostate. When they do that prostate examination, they're causing a problem in the prostate. Give you an example. Let's say they spot a spot on cancer on the prostate. Well, it means that the body has contained the cancer. It's not going anywhere. And you got men in their 80s and 90s that will have a prostate cancer, but it doesn't kill them. So the body has now contained that cancer. They go in to do their examination. They cause the cancer now to spread. Now, Mr. So-and-so, oh, we got to do something, or you're going to have testicle cancer, penis cancer, prostate cancer, you know, urinary cancer, bladder cancer. Oh, you're going to die, you're going to die, you're going to, same shit, you know. So they just do it a little differently with men. See, men could be starving to death. Men could be broke. When it comes to the reproductive system, that's a priority. That's the way, because that's how they've been programmed. That's how men have become programmed. You know, with women, it's the same thing. You know, they got them thinking about their breasts or their backside, and everything's about their contours and shapes, and everyone's looking at a 15-year-old model, wanting to look like that 15-year-old model, and you're in your 40s. Not going to happen. You know, anatomically, a 15-year-old woman is not fully developed. Number one, her bone structure is going to be a little bit on the smaller side because, again, it's not fully developed. And you being 40 years old have fully developed. Skeletal structure is what it is. You know, it's just not realistic. But that's the image. That's the image and the illusion they propagate.
My thought just flew out of the window.
You're thinking about a 15-year-old model.
No. My tea went down the wrong pipe, and then I lost my thought. Okay, so, but with the aluminum, wouldn't you say it's also a good idea to stop spraying it on your body and eating it, and yeah, slap it on your face, on your body, whatever?
Hey, if you want brain damage, genetic damage, DNA damage, cancer, carry on. If you don't, I would stop it. Definitely. You got to remember, if you're a woman, the makeup that they sell women is designed to penetrate the brain and cause brain damage. Go look at some of the active ingredients like titanium dioxide and aluminum lake and what's the other metal they put in there? Maybe silver particulates or other crap, you know, toxic metals, and you're putting it on the face, thinking that you put a foundation on, and now you put the makeup on, and now it's on the foundation. It's going to penetrate through that and get into your skin. Most of the stuff that women are wearing, mascaras, lipsticks, especially the lipsticks, they're also got nano in them. You can go look it up. That a lot of the feminine products that women use have nano to them. Gets into the brain, and you have a problem.
So that is pretty easy. This recipe: borax, Epsom salt, a liter of water.
You would be surprised how good you'll feel with that after a couple weeks.
I believe that. I totally believe that. So what other remedies are there that are easy to incorporate in our day-to-day lives?
Well, if you got a bathtub, taking a bath wouldn't hurt. I mean, using Epsom salt, borax, trisodium phosphate, and what's the fourth one? Trisodium phosphate, Epsom salt, borax. What's the other one? Epsom salt, borax, trisodium phosphate. There's a fourth one. I'm trying to remember now. What the hell is it? But anyway, those three salts alone, Epsom, borax, trisodium phosphate, will do a lot as far as pulling radiation. And baking soda. Baking soda. How could I forget?
Oh, okay, yeah.
Okay. When you put that in a bath, the body's radiation levels get disengaged because the borax and baking soda will pull the radiation out of the body. And the other salts will go in. You got phosphorus, which goes in on the cells. We'll take these salts into the cells and help flush out the cells better. So you have, again, that's the simplest way to do it. Now, if you don't have a bath, then the other thing you can do is a bucket. Take a bucket, use the bucket, and again, change the diet. Don't eat anything surface. Don't eat any grains, breads, pastas, cereals, rice, millet, buckwheat, barley, oat, chia seeds, quinoa. Leave all that shit alone.
Mm-hmm.
You know.
So you just said they are not doing anything to men, but what we are clearly seeing is that fertility rates are going down.
Well, that's what I mean. If you're looking at what they've done doing to the men,
Mm.
oh, I see what you're referring to. Okay, men are being exposed to high levels of titanium, nanosilver, and cadmium.
But through what?
Sorry,
They are exposed
exposed.
to, yeah, they are exposed to that through what?
It literally shreds the testicles to pieces.
Yeah,
The
but what is it that exposes them to that?
oh, whether they're eating it or drinking it or taking vitamins and supplements. Go look at some of your chewing gum. It has titanium dioxide. Why is that on the gum? Okay, that goes into it. Men buy that, they chew it, they swallow the whatever flavoring they got. The titanium penetrates the blood barrier of the testicles, gets into the tubes, and literally starts shredding the tubes. They're giving them high levels of all the foods have a high estrogenic content to them. So now their bodies are not able to produce the testosterone required to sustain their heart, their brain, or their reproductive system. They're consuming cadmium in some of the foods they're eating. They're consuming titanium, nano silver. Like I said, it's being sprayed in a lot of foods. So what's happening is these guys are eating these foods, whatever they may be eating. They're getting the nano silver in, goes right into the testicles, and voila. Like there was some doctor propagating nano silver. She wrote me a letter. I wrote her back, and I chewed her a new ass. I said, you're just basically what you're doing is you're neutralizing the male population. You're sterilizing them. So that's what she's doing. But this is another one of these health gurus. This is why I keep telling everybody, be careful who you listen to, because a lot of them are full of shit, basically. And they're selling you product. They don't care. They don't care about you. They establish a name, whatever. Okay, there was one guy's got some product in a powder. The stuff's got all kinds of shit in it. It's garbage, and he's propagating it, and he's a well-known doctor in the health circles. You got another one that does media, selling junk. So you got a lot of and you even got some of the gurus that are supposedly on people's side over here, and some of them got labs and they're supposed to be doing experiments on the food and all this stuff. They haven't done a damn thing. Anyway, the guy's been selling pea protein, rice protein, soy protein for years, and now he's selling all this other crap, now silica and all this other nonsense. These guys are not there for you. They're there just to hustle money and to get out of Dodge. That's what they're about. So like I said, be careful who you listen to.
Mm-hmm. Protein powder, for instance, is also very popular. Did you find that is problematic as well?
No.
No?
Well, it depends. Shouldn't say no. Depends. If you find a whey protein product or a multi-blend protein product with different types of whey, isolates, hydroslates, concentrates, with nothing else in it, it's wonderful. It will benefit. But you get a whey protein product that's got sucralose, Splenda,
Yeah.
neotame, soy lecithin. What other garbage you get? Sometimes you got some of them with the flavorings have red number 40 and yellow number 5. If it's got all that crap in it, leave it alone. Those protein molecules will take that stuff into the liver and transport that throughout the body. I use the whey protein because the best way to use a whey is with a blend, either isolate, hydroslate with either a concentrate or well, a concentrate probably would be better, or a casein, because you get the best of both worlds. You get the quick release and the slow release with those type of proteins. But where they contaminate these proteins, they put soy lecithin. Why are you putting soy lecithin there? We got sunflower lecithin, we got egg yolk lecithin. Why aren't we using those things? I would rather pay a little bit more for a protein that has better quality material than soy. Or why are you putting any kind of sugar in my? I don't need you to do that unless you want to put vanilla in there. That's fine. But I mean, why are you putting sucralose in there, or Splenda, or neotame, aspartame, or some of these other junks? you're better off with just a simple sugar.
Mm.
You know, you're better off with a simple sugar. It's safer than all these other sweeteners that they're putting in these things.
Yeah, but many people put these sweeteners also in their coffee or tea or whatever. They do that voluntarily.
Yeah, and again, I get that too, and I get why as well. Um, I'm not totally convinced that sugar is completely bad, to be honest with you. I think if you take the right things with sugar, like zinc and manganese, you can neutralize the negative effects of the sugar. But that's provided you're not taking sugar from any other source. In other words, you're not eating chocolate and candies and junk and eating breads and pastas and all the other stuff. If you're using just a little bit and you're not using anything else, it's not going to hurt you. But if you're uh, if you're consuming a lot of sugar products or starchy products, then yeah, it's going to definitely be an issue. And if there are a lot of people when they're taking tea and coffee, they're putting cream in their tea and coffee, which is insanity to me. You know, you're basically neutralizing the antioxidant properties of these beverages and causing them to become carcinogenic. And then when you add the sugar to it, you got another problem. So it's all chemistry, you know, when you look at it.
Mm. What else are we doing on a regular basis in general that where we are shooting ourselves in the foot?
Believing some of the mythos of the health food industry. For instance, you should eat the skin of the apple. It has the most concentration of nutrients. That's all baloney. It's pure horse hockey. The skin of the apple has the highest concentration of the pollutants. That's where they're spraying it. And that's acts as a barrier. It doesn't stop it completely, but it will minimize the uptake. All your berries are completely contaminated. You could take a berry, cut it in half, put it in the microwave, turn it on for 10 seconds, it'll spark. All your grapes are contaminated. If you're going to buy wine, for instance, that should be filtered. If you're going to buy any kind of juice, should be homemade. The store-bought stuff a lot of times is basically water and sugar and coloring majority of the time. Apple cider vinegar, that's another pile of rubbish. The apple cider vinegar is using the skin of the apple in order to create the mother. You don't necessarily need the mother, and you're better off getting a distilled apple cider vinegar rather than a one like that, because now you remove the nano out of the vinegar. When I go to the store and buy vinegar, if I'm buying a vinegar, I usually get white or a distilled grape, a distilled apple, or some kind of distilled material. I don't want to just get a wine vinegar. I don't want to get just a balsamic vinegar or whatever. I want it distilled because I want the contamination of these particulates out of my food supply. If you're going to drink alcohol, it should be a clear base alcohol. Or if you're going to drink brandy or cognac, those you drink, because these are a third distillation of whatever they're using. For instance, okay, let's say they're using blueberries or strawberries to make cognac. Well, when you first make it, it goes from the berry to a fermented wine. Then it's distilled again, and you get your cognac or your brandy. Same with your wine or your brandy. It starts from grape to wine to brandy. Because when you're getting to that level of distillation, it's pulling out whatever's there is gone. Now, if you go into grappa, which is even a higher concentration of alcohol, it's like a clear-based vodka. Then it's clean. So you can make alcohol and vinegar out of just about anything. But like I said, you want to distill it. You don't want to just make it, and especially if you're leaving the mesh inside with the material, because all that mesh has the nano in it. So these are things, again, I tell people to warn them, show them, look, if you buy this is what you're going to get in there. You know, the whole mother thing's a joke, unless you can filter that or ferment it by itself and then filter it and put that mother into your distilled vinegar. Perhaps that might work. But yeah, a lot of the things that you're being told, even with vitamins, if they've got fillers in, like artificial natural flavor, which is aborted bait, if they got soy in it, which could be under several different names, PVP, HVP, APP, HPP, or AVP, sorry. That's all soy. If it's got cross carmelose of any kind, hypercross carmelose, microcrystalline cellulose, they should be avoided. Magnesium stearate is not a problem. That was another goofball idiot doctor on the media making this proclamation so you could buy more of his garbage, and his garbage has silica in it. So like I said, you really got to be careful who you listen to, because like I said, majority of the time these so-called good guys in the health food industry are there to make money. They're not there to, they don't give a shit about you, they don't give a shit about your health, they don't give a shit about nothing. You know, they're just going to sell you the product. You know, it's safe, it's written it's safe here, 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 here. And I go back in the 1960s where they first looked at some of this stuff and like, holy crap, why would they call this safe? You know, it breaks DNA strands, it shuts down the immune system, it integrates with the skeletal system, displaces the nutrients. And then they sell you silica because it's going to be good for your hair and nails. But that's how it's marketed. But see, hair and nails requires keratin, a protein. I tell people, go get some gelatin and MSM and do a teaspoon of gelatin and a half a teaspoon of MSM, put them in water, drink them 5 times a day, every 3 hours, and see what happens to your hair and nails within a couple of days.
What is MSM?
MSM is a sulfur-based supplement. It's extracted from pine bark.
Okay.
You got to be careful with that one too, because sometimes they add silica and artificial sweetener too. If you can find a pure one, go with it.
Yeah. You said something a little bit earlier that we should filter our wine. How do we do that?
Well, the filtering process could be like we did with the other juices. You add a little oil to it, blend it up, put it in a jar, let it separate, and run it through a filter. Then the oil will collect anything in there. I was out west a year or two ago, and we had some of this non-alcoholic wine from Germany.
Okay.
So we put it in my little triangle. We started pulsing it. Next thing you know, something got activated in the wine. It started to assemble. It was assembling right in front of our eyes, and it formed this half a bug. It looked like a bug. It wasn't a bug. It was a mimetic.
It was a what?
A mimetic. M-I-M-E-T-I-C, a mimetic.
Okay.
Something, a replicant, a replicate. It was something that was replicating something. Anyway, this thing started bobbing up and down because it could only develop one wing because we kept pulsing it, so we wouldn't allow it to fully assemble. Eventually, the pulsing disengaged the program and just lay there dormant, halfway constructed. It just did this all in a matter of 6 or 7 minutes in front of us. And it was funny because all this stuff started collecting to the surface, and then this thing started, and something started to assemble, and this is what was happening. And this came from Germany. I had another picture on another site, which is down now, where I was filtering different juices and wines through a fish filtering system, because it has 3 filters. It's a 3-stage filter. The non-alcoholic wine from Germany, I could not filter. The stuff came in and went out and went back in again. I mean, it was just completely saturated. And I thought, what the hell are the Germans consuming over there? You know, they totally loaded with the nano. I don't buy wine anymore. I used to. I just stick with brandy now, or I stick with any other distillate.
Cheers.
So, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because if you're drinking this stuff, because they're telling you the resveratrol in it will be good for you, you'll live a long time, it helps, it's very powerful antioxidant, blah, 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 keeps the brain going, this going, that going, whatever.
Yeah.
Yay, I'm getting the resveratrol. Yay, now I'm also getting all this other shit. So I haven't done it yet, or I may have done it once. I would probably filter the wine, and then afterwards I would probably cook it down to concentrate it into a very fine, powerful extract, and I use drops of that. But I would definitely filter it out heavily before I do something like that.
Yeah.
But like I said, nothing is what it appears. All the stuff that they tell you, well, this is good for you, that's good for you, you know, and you should eat these foods and that foods. You got to correlate everything that you're eating today with our environment. Okay, if the environment is firing frequencies And you got to make sure you're not eating foods that are going to amplify those frequencies inside of you. If our environment is toxic with, again, genetic reorienting our gene code, then you got to avoid those foods too. You know, it's just how you have to think of it. I always tell people, you have to protect the DNA, you have to protect the mitochondria, you have to protect the ATP production, the genetic code, the chromosome code, the enzyme manufacturing in the body, the bacterial loads in the body, because this is what they're trying to disengage.
What about carrying a cell phone very close to your body?
I wouldn't do it. I don't have a cell phone.
Yeah.
If I have to get a cell phone, I got these shielding pouches, which you put them in there. We've tried them; they work. Yeah, nobody. I mean, a lot of guys carry their cell phone by their testicles. A lot of women carry it in their bra or on their breast. I think I was myself, are you freaking nuts? You know.
Yeah.
Then they say, "Oh, I got cancer." I wonder why.
Yeah. You microwaved your testicles for 10 years.
Yeah, you got radioactive sperm there, buddy. You know. And the women do the same thing. They'll wear the stupid thing on their ass, you know, on their pocket, you know, and it's nuking their whole uterus. The eggs are radioactive now. And on top of that, you got to remember there's nano inside. So what's that doing to the nano?
Yeah. Wow.
Always remember, to determine what you should be doing, you should assess your environment. How much EMF are you being hit with? How much ELF are you being hit with? Okay, all the lights are operating in Europe and over here are all 5G. So you know you're dealing with 5G technology. If you got a cell phone, what EMF bands are you're on the terahertz bands? Okay, so these are things you got to think of. Okay, these are hitting my body. Now I've been consuming nano biotech. So what's that doing to my system? You know, and so now I have to act accordingly in order to shield myself from the emitters. I have to now disengage the programming inside my body. And then what I'm eating, I have to determine whether or not it's going to support my DNA, support my mitochondria, support my genetic code, my DNA, the chromosome code, so forth and so on. So yeah, you have to, like I said, start thinking in those terms. That's how you defend yourself. That's how you win.
Let's say people have the opportunity to grow their own food. What would you suggest there? What is the best way to go about that? With a greenhouse or hydroponics, or what would you do?
I'd go aquaponic. The aquaponic system seems to be better than the hydroponic. The aquaponic, I eat animals. Okay, I have no problem telling you I eat cows, I eat buffalo, I eat, you know, duck, goose, chicken, turkey, whatever. Not crazy about fish over here in North America because most fish here taste like shit. It's dead, done. Now, when I was in Europe and I was younger, I ate the saltwater fish because it was different. It actually had flavor and it had vitality to it. So I'll eat a can of tuna and I'll even cook a can of tuna. I'll put it in, again, vinegar. I'll put garlic with it. I'll put, you know, whatever. I'll heat it up, cook it up real quick, and then add salt and pepper and whatever, and then consume it. But as far as an aquaponic goes, you got fish in a tank, which can breed, which can give you more fish. So you have a steady supply of a meat source or a protein source. The fish shit and the fish piss goes into gets taken up into a trough, which then fertilizes your seed and your crop, also releasing healthy bacteria into the environment. The water gets filtered and cycled back into the tank. That, to me, seems to be a win-win. Okay, if you want to have your vegetables, you're going to have probably the best vegetables you're going to eat because they will be loaded. Now, you may have to add, say, some kind of nutrient, mineral base to the plants. That you may have to add some kind of something to the water. But this is one way you can do it. A hydroponic works a little bit differently, just water suspension, and that you have to put nutrients in the water. Again, that can have benefit. You can't afford the other, and it's a lot easier to set up. You can grow a box garden inside where you can grow potatoes with just a box or a container, layer it with dirt, put your potatoes inside by layers, and then when you're ready to, and then have like a little cut opening at the bottom, which you can open and close. So when you're ready to harvest a potato, you just pull them out from the bottom. Any herb like that has to do with the peppermint family, rosemary, sage, thyme, oregano, marjoram. These all have tremendous benefits of protecting us from hormonal imbalances in the body. Also, they have other carryover properties as far as protecting the body's immune system from viral, fungal, bacterial infections. I may grow a pot garden where I have different flower pots all over the place, and each one of them may have something different growing. I had apple trees growing and oranges for a long time, but they did die eventually. But you can do stuff like that. You can put potato in those things as well, sweet potato, carrots, whatever.
Mm-hmm. So you briefly touched on fungus, and you mentioned oregano. And fungus can be very, very stubborn.
I use copper chloride to knock it out.
Copper chloride.
Yep. I don't even bother with some of the things they tell you to use. I do my research, and I look at what really works. And, oh, that knocks it out. That knocks it. You know what knocks out mold? If they got mold on the washroom, you know what knocks that out the easiest?
Yeah, no.
White vinegar.
Okay.
Spray it on, wait a minute, and it'll fall right off.
Okay.
You want to add a copper mixture, copper colloidal or copper chloride with it, shake it up and spray it. It drops it even faster.
Okay, the mold.
Mold.
Mm-hmm.
You can also use that same combination as an insecticide.
And for the fungus, you would recommend copper chloride.
Copper chloride, zinc chloride, potassium chloride, magnesium chloride, most minerals, manganese chloride, anything like that I would use, yep.
Yeah. Do you have any idea why there is an increase in fungus infections?
Look up. It's a bird. It's a plane. No. It's a geoengineering planet-side operation going on.
Okay.
All the things have been occurring in the last 20, 25 years as a result of biological indifference to the planet, inserting into the planet things that shouldn't be here, putting stuff in the food supply that we shouldn't be eating, disengaging the DNA response mechanisms in the body so that your body can respond to fighting off these type of infections. Once that's been disengaged, you just become infected, and then infections grow. So that's the culprit right there.
Tony, what do you think is the end goal here? Is it to robotize us? Is it to wipe us out, or what is it?
There's definitely a planet-side agenda.
Mm-hmm.
The more I look at some of the things, I see historical biblical truths, current scientific data, and make my comparisons and see some of the similarities. It seems like mankind has been under an assault from day one. And I did a show the other day. I talked about the Tower of Babel.
Mm-hmm.
Tower of Babel is an antenna. That what they were building was going to be a portal. That antenna was a collector. It was collecting energy, static electricity, magnetic fields, static power, whatever. And it was connected to the earth. If they had completed the construction of that tower and used the magnetic field from the center of the earth as a means of discharging, they would have ripped open the Van Allen belt and destroyed the planet. It was almost as if they were making a jailbreak.
Mm-hmm.
And today, the same thing is going on, except slightly different. Now, and I've theorized that there'd be a tower either in Saudi Arabia or Iraq or somewhere in that area that would be able to act as a conduit of power. Well, there is a tower in Saudi Arabia. It's one of the largest towers. It's made out of metal, and it's embedded into the ground. And you have the Hadron Collider down there by where you are. You can cause atoms to collide, releasing tons of energy. That is the spark or the trigger. The chemtrails above us are layering the sky with different components. This is acting like a capacitor. It stores energy. Then when you hit it with something, you can create a release. The first time round, God intervened and he created a language program. So everybody started speaking different languages, like what I call a chaos program. Second time round, if they ever get this completed and they fire it, you can kiss the planet goodbye, because when that tower releases the charge from the Hadron Collector, it will hit the Earth, and that capacitance will then be released. And the amount of energy that's being stored from sunlight, solar radiation, magnetic fields, static electricity in the sky, once that hits a climax, it will release a multiple flow of energy that would literally rip the Hadron Belt to pieces. If that happens, the radiation that will hit the planet will be immeasurable. It will cause dramatic damage on the planet like none we've ever seen. It'll be like a nuclear bomb multiplied by 1,000,000. So when we're looking at all the things going on today, why hasn't the government stepped in to stop the chemtrailing? Why hasn't the government stepped in and stopped pharmaceutical companies from poisoning mankind? Why hasn't the government stepped in and stopped the geneticists from genetically engineering our food supply, causing this transgender and mutagenic issues going on with our bodies? You know, why hasn't the environmental agencies and the ministries of environment step in to stop the assault going on the atmosphere? Why hasn't the institutions that were set to protect us from this type of nightmare have not acted? So they've been told to look the other way. So there's this, we have been invaded. You know, anybody who doesn't think that still or thinks it's poppycock, they're asleep. You know, George Carlin said it correctly. He says, if you believe in anyone who believes in the system, you'd have to be asleep to believe it. And that's what's going on today. Too many people are still asleep to the reality of what's really happening on the planet. So till they wake up, life or death goes on.
And who invaded us?
You know, that could be up for debate, but I call them the fallen angels, the ones that had the initial war with God. That's what I call. Now, other people who don't, I'm not a religious man. I don't believe in any religion, quite frankly, but I do believe in the living God. You know, I do, my faith through Jesus, but I don't necessarily believe the religious take that I've been given or handed to me by these churches. I don't buy into anything they said. I've done like my homework, and I've seen that there has been an influence that has been sent down here on this planet that has infected us. And some might call them fallen angels, some might call them reptiles, reptilians, and snakes, and all these other things. It's all one and the same. Aliens, interdimensionals, it's all one and the same. So the end result has been always the same. Abductions, experimentations, exploitation, mutations, it's all been the same. Nothing has changed. So if we could get the planet to wake up on that reality, these things that are on this planet would be expelled one way or another.
The idea of the Tower of Babel being an antenna, I find that very intriguing.
Well, when we read the religious perspective of it, it was a tower to reach heaven, to get into heaven. And we don't even know what dimension heaven is in. I often tell people that if we die, we wouldn't know how to get to heaven. The only reason we know how to get to heaven is because Christ made the way for us to get to heaven. Now, I mean, do we catch a bus? Do we drive a cab? Do we fly an airplane? Do we take a boat? Are we on a spaceship? Nobody knows. So when you hear the religious take of heaven and they're going to try to reach heaven by building a tower, it makes absolutely no sense whatsoever. But if you look at the tower as a conduit of energy and an energy flow, and you look at the Earth for what it really is, it's basically a magnetic field or magnetically charged powerhouse or power unit. And you can, if you tap into the magnetic field and the solar radiation and the photonics and the cymatics and the static, and you can collect that energy in a conduit, then you've got a weapon, or you've got something that can now transmit very powerfully. And if you create a surge through that antenna, like a capacitor releasing energy, it expels the energy at a very exponential rate at one shot. When you look at the chemtrails, they're layering the skies. They're all superconductor material. We got methane up there. That's a superconductor. That's a carbon molecule. We've got all kinds of silica up in the air. Silver, copper, aluminum, calcium. These are all conductors, you know, and at varying stages. So when you're looking at what could possibly go wrong, firing a heart frequency up into the atmosphere, what could possibly go wrong? Imagine if you amplified that by 1,000-fold, or 1,000,000-fold with a collider. It can cause two atoms to collide that could fire a charge through that antenna, hitting the atmosphere. You know, what could go wrong?
When you said that they were trying to open a portal, was that for letting something in or out, or maybe both?
It could be both. I look at it as if they were going to open a portal, they're either going to try to escape or create an invasion force, one or the other. We've already been invaded. We've already been. I don't believe any of our heads of government are people anymore. I think a lot of them have been replaced. That's my opinion, my speculation on it, based on what I'm seeing. Yeah. As I stated before, the governments in the past took a stand when the corporations got out of line. Today, the corporations run the world. You know, fascism is back, and it's back with a vengeance. But we don't call it fascism anymore.
It calls itself anti-fascist.
That's right. So you can't call it fascism anymore because it's a politically incorrect term. But you can call it corporocracies. Corporations are running the planet. That's what fascism is. Fascism is a form of corporocracies that run. Corporations run the planet. That's what happened in the Second World War. People always blame Germany for that war. I don't. I blame the United States for that war. Because it was the corporations of America that gave Hitler what he needed, gave it to him. So they wanted Hitler to, because he was just a small man controlled by a corporation. That's all he was. Unfortunately, it fell to the German people because they were in poverty and they bankrupted them. The first thing he did, he got rid of the Zionist banks that were controlling Germany. Germany became very prosperous within a matter of 3 years. They were the only country in the world at that time that was prosperous. Everybody else was broke. So when you're looking at that historical thing and how that all turned about, I don't hold that. I mean, I look at that whole thing saying this came from again, this is what happens when you have fascism or corporocracies controlling a country. They can make countries do things they normally wouldn't do. You know, they got them believing and get them to believe certain things that they normally wouldn't believe in. So, you know, and that's what caused that war was a corporocracy or corporate taking over of Europe. So, and it's going on again. It's going on again. You know, but anyhow, like the old saying goes, those who don't read their history are doomed to repeat it. And well, we're right back to where we were at the Second World War. We're at the same time. Now we got different players. We got China, India, Russia. Russia and the States are the same. Germany, France, and England, or Britain is the same. You know, but we got some major players now that weren't there before. So, and then we got an issue going down in Venezuela. Got an issue going on in Ukraine. Afghanistan. We got another issue going. I mean, seriously, they cannot live without a war.
Yeah.
You know, and then they're gonna bring some guy up and say, "Oh, this guy was a despotic leader. He caused a." The only way these guys can get up. I mean, Hussein was brought up by the CIA. Everyone knows the CIA put Hussein in power in Iraq. So, you know what I mean? This is and the game has never stopped. I mean, this is what I'm saying. It has not stopped since the First World War. It's the same thing being repeated over and over and over and over again. And it'll be now, well, today it's the Palestinians that are the bad guy. Tomorrow it's the Afghanistans. Russia's the bad guy now. China will be the bad guy tomorrow. India will be the bad guy. You know what I mean? It's the game, and it's a retarded game, and it's been played and played, and it's the same play over and over. So, like I said, I look at what happened historically. All corporatocracy, and that's what's going on today, corporatocracies. This is why we're not being protected the way we should. And I think if they open this portal up, it will either be an invading force or it will be a jailbreak, one or the other.
Okay. Have you ever thought along the lines of soulless drones, or what other people call NPCs?
What's it called again? I'm sorry?
NPCs or soulless drones?
To be honest with you, I've never heard of it. Or I've never heard
Okay.
of it that way. I've never heard of it that way again, put that way. Maybe I have, but I'm not familiar with those terms.
Yeah. I think that at least at the high level of politics, that we are dealing totally with soulless drones. You said?
I think well, it's the same thing, basically, just a different type of alien you're referring to. But an alien presence has taken over. That's how I see it. Whether it's demonic, and again, even if it's a soulless drone, something would have to control the drone.
Yeah. But once your soul is gone, there is nothing. There's nobody at home. You know what I mean?
Or you're possessed.
Yeah.
That the soul is gone, you've been possessed, you've been taken over.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You know what I mean? Yeah, I mean, I can see that as a reality too. I mean, it's not that far-fetched anymore. 30 years ago, you know, people have said you would have been crazy, but anybody that's been following anything along the lines of being aware of what's going on the planet, these are not far-fetched ideas anymore. They have a lot of pragmatic realism to them. We know something is wrong with the governments of the world. We know that. We know that something is definitely wrong when the government is no longer representing the people but the special interests and corporations. You know, the United States, they teach that the three branches of government are the checks and balances of the government. That's not accurate at all. That is the government. The check and balance was the people that they separated from the government. The people were the check and balance. That's what made that system so unique. But once they isolated the government away from the people, now you got a rogue government running crazy in the States right now. You know, there's no check and balance there. It does whatever it wants. If the FDA says this, and the FDA is not even a government institution, which is controlling the regulations on health, and yet it's not an American institution at all. What's wrong with that picture? The IRS, which is another non-American institution in the United States, controlling the financial flow of America. What's wrong with that? What's wrong with that system? Something's wrong. That means that's been invaded and compromised. You know, when you talk about the what's the bank? The bank that lends the money to the states. What's it called?
Federal Reserve.
Federal Reserve. Another one, a non-American institution dictating policies about America's capital and its interests. Okay, these are alien. These are all alien in nature. They're not part of the system of America, yet they control the major financial power of America. So there's no check and balance there anymore, if there ever was. So when we're looking around and you're saying what you're saying, you have to ask the question, when did we lose it? How did we lose it? And who took it over? See, right now, I'm also thinking that we're having artificial intelligence running the planet. And artificial intelligence is presenting the bills to either the Congress or to the parliaments of the planet for them to vote on. And because if you ever notice, they're all saying the same speech. All the politicians are saying the exact same speech. We did a comparison one time with Canada and New Zealand when Mr. Harper was in power. They were reciting the same speech verbatim. Now, how is that possible?
Yeah. And sometimes in the news, you get the exact same sentences
Yeah,
from all the news channel,
yeah.
so-called news channel.
Who's controlling that one? You know what I mean? Well, I mean, I don't believe in coincidences. And if there is such a thing as a coincidence, it's like maybe one or two things that might, two people might start saying the same thing at the same time. But when you're talking, 1,000 or 10,000 networks across the planet, all recanting the same thing for almost per verbatim, that's a hell of a script if you got across the world there. So this is why I don't believe nothing I see on television. I don't believe any of the news. I think it's all bullshit most of the time. I think it's nothing but a manipulating game they're playing on the whole planet. I think, when they tell you one thing and the opposite's happening, people haven't clued in that, that something's not right. You're saying this, but this is actually going on. And, they're telling you that they're lowering the taxes, lowering the taxes, lowering the taxes, yet the price of everything keeps going up, 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 up. If the taxes are going down, why are the prices going up?
Hmm.
You know,
Why is it so hard for us to comprehend that we better should stop playing along? Every election, you have this fighting over, oh no, this politician, that politician, no, he should be president, no, she should be president, or whatever.
that's the program that has been embedded in the people.
Yeah.
I've often said that we're brain damaged. And what I mean by that is, okay, I look at biblical history and then I look at current events as well. When the Hebrews came out of Egypt, God had performed all kinds of signs and wonders, right? And the big enchilada of them all was he parted the Red Sea and he crossed through it and then he closed the door and killed the Egyptians. Moses then tells Aaron, watch over these dumb bastards. I'm going to have a one-on-one with the Great One, keep them out of trouble. Moses leaves, goes talks to God. He's there for about 6 months. And then the people tell Aaron to build him a golden cow. A golden cow. This is brain damage, like I said. Now Moses comes back, and he sees them bound down to a golden cow. Now he has a fit. He breaks the tablets, he destroys the cow, burns them, and all kinds of chaos happens. That's brain damage from programming. They had 300 years of well, that's what it was, 300 years of programming. Now, those of us who have the non-Hebrew culture have had 2,000 years of programming from a Babylonian system. And okay, everything that we're going through right now, the fight we're fighting and the things we're trying to stop or trying to make changes on, 3 generations from now, or the third generation after us, will have forgotten everything. They can't hold water between the ears. That's how stupid they'll become. They will remember that they were chemtrailing the skies. They were firing frequencies in the atmosphere. They were bombing people with frequencies and microwaves. They were downloading voice-to-skull technologies. They won't remember they were being fed transgenetically engineered foods or genetic engineered foods or GMO foods. They won't remember any of that. They won't remember that they were dumping plastics in the ocean the size of the United States. They won't remember the fact that they were dumping iron in the water to fabricate a radiation fallout from a country that isn't producing any radiation. Nothing. They'll forget. People have forgotten. About 5-6 years ago, Russia burnt radioactive stockpiles off the west side of the Ukraine. Now that went up into the air, and that has traversed the skies and gone across Europe. Right now it's in Spain and it's heading across the Atlantic. People forgot all about that. But now you're talking about Fukushima, which that radiation will never see the light of day on the west side of the west coast of America or Canada. They are pumping the spirit thing about Fukushima dumping radiation in the water. Heavy water doesn't float, sinks, goes straight down. The Earth's seaweed and the iodine will neutralize it eventually. Aquatic life may die, but if you notice, Vietnam, Korea, north and south, east coast of China, Australia, New Zealand, the east coast of Russia, nobody is having radiation poisoning or falling out. If they were going to have problems, it would be in that region. And if they're not having problems, why would we? But the United States dumped iron along the west coast of Canada, United States. The Russians told them not to do it. The French told them not to do it. The Germans told them not to do it. The British told them not to do it. They did it anyway. And they fired their frequencies on that iron oxide because, see, water will disperse frequencies. But add a component where it can grab onto it, it will go right to it. Well, they put iron oxide in it, which is rust. And what did that do? That sucked the oxygen levels right out of the water, suffocating the fish. All of a sudden, you got dead fish along the west coast. Oh, it must be Fukushima. This is what I mean. People have forgot to think. They don't know how to think. They don't know how to sit there and see, what a load of horse hockey.
No.
So.
Yeah, but Trump will drain the swamp, Tony.
Sorry? Say again?
Trump will drain the swamp.
Yeah, well, yeah, I don't. What the leaders of the respective countries I like Putin. I like what he says, but I know he's also in on the game.
Oh, of course he is.
And I think he's setting up the Russian people as well. But I do like what he says. I follow what he's doing. I get what he's trying to do, in regarding to protect Russia. I mean, he's surrounded. He's got China on one side, India on the other side, Iraq and Afghanistan and Iran on another side of him. Iran's not a problem right now. Turkey's not a problem right now, but they could be later on. You got NATO on the east. You got the United States in the north and on the west. So he's pretty, and you got American military bases all around his border. So I get what he's saying, and I'm glad, kind of in a way, that he has come out with his weaponry. He was kind of stupid for displaying it. The hypersonic missiles, the silent submarines, and the high-powered aircraft he's got. He's been displaying this. He says he's only got a $38 billion budget, where the Americans have a $700 billion budget. I mean, how long is it going to take them to neutralize anything he's got if they haven't done it already? So, I get what he's trying to do, and I get that they're probably going to use him for the next war coming down the pipe. So when we're looking at all these officials, they're following the script. Merkel is following the script.
Of course, yeah.
Trump is following the script. Putin is following the script. All following the script. So, I mean, John F. K. tried to stop the secret societies with his speech and trying to do certain things. They took him out 2 weeks after he did the speech, indicating that no leader is without their reach. Mm-hmm. So, again, when I see all the stuff going on today, it's all being scripted. People will follow the script. People are like sheep, and they listen to a certain tune, and that attenuation of that frequency is what they follow. Once you break that attenuation of that frequency, then you got their attention. See, when you tell them about chemtrails, they look at you like you're from space. What are you talking about, chemtrails? There's no chemtrails. That's just whatever.
Okay? That's a conspiracy theory.
A conspiracy theory, because it's not in their program. Yeah. Because their program is get up in the morning, hit your alarm clock, hit the washroom, shower, shave, whatever, kiss the dog, slap the wife, go to work, put in your time, come home, kiss the dog, slap the wife, have dinner, go to bed. And at the end of the month, pay your bills. That's the program. That's the routine. You may not slap the wife, but that's just a thing that they do sometimes. So anyway, that's the program. That's it in a nutshell. And then they hear whatever shit they hear at work, and that's what they follow. And they usually talk about what they saw on television the night before. Mm-hmm. So that's the program. So, and then when you say, oh, do you know about GMO? Oh, I'm still alive. I'm okay. I don't feel nothing. This is rhetoric, right? Then 2 years later, I'm dying of cancer. Oh, my manhood won't function like it used to. My wife's not interested in sex anymore. My dog is dying. My cat is dying. My parakeet died. It takes something tragic for that frequency connection to be broken. You know, then that's when they start recognizing, realizing, wow, what's going on here? You know, why is this all happening all at once? You know, why did this happen? I did everything right. I went to work. I paid my bills. I did this. I did that. You know, I dotted the I's and crossed the T's. I was a good citizen. And now all this is going on. Why? You know, they don't get that God is trying to wake them up. That's what they don't get.
I know that will probably not happen, but let's say millions of people would throw away their cell phones tomorrow and we all stopped voting. What do you think would happen?
If you threw away the cell phone, that would probably raise more of a issue than you not voting.
Okay.
But quit
That's
going.
a statement, yeah.
But quit going to work for 2 weeks. Everybody.
Yeah.
The system is based on an economy that's constantly reloading itself. When you stop working for 2 weeks, just not go to work. Everybody calling sick for 2 weeks.
Mm.
And they can't get anybody to come in to do those jobs. It would cripple them. But when people did start going back to work, then they would initiate an AI system to be able to do the jobs just in case something like that didn't happen.
Mm.
But if everybody started becoming self-employed again and creating a real economy, not this bullshit economy we're into, okay, that would be the biggest kick in the ass to all these corporations. That's what they're afraid of. Bill Gates is not afraid of IBM or any other computer competition. He can go toe-to-toe with anybody. But what he's afraid of is a small company starting an operation on programming, a different type of programming language or whatever. They could knock out Microsoft. That's what he's more afraid of, the individual. So if you have individual people creating their own enterprises, you don't have, and you're not relying on the corporation, that is a bigger fear for them because now they can't control you.
Mm.
You know, I don't have a cell phone. I've had them in the past. Didn't really, they're more of a pain in the ass than they were, so I quit having them.
Yeah, I don't have one either, and I'm still alive.
You know what? When I walk away from what I'm doing, I don't want to hear a phone.
Yeah.
I don't want to hear nothing. I just want to have my thoughts, quiet thoughts. If I see a frequency hit my head and trying to play a song or whatever, I know it's an AI system going in there trying to disrupt my thinking. See, the system does not want you to think. So any way, shape, or form, they will hit you with a frequency to keep your mind distracted with whatever they're pumping into your head. And once you understand that, that's half the battle.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, sometimes you can, if you are vigilant,
Right.
then you can definitely see, feel, or hear when they are attacking you with thoughts that are definitely not yours.
Exactly. But see, until you're awakened to that reality, the songs and stuff will play in your head. You'll start singing a song, whistling a tune, and not know why.
Hmm.
But like you said, if you're vigilant, basically I can sit here in my computer, especially at nighttime I'm winding down playing these puzzle games where I have to react very quickly in order to think. So once I get focused on that, all of a sudden I'll have all kinds of shit popping in my head. It's trying to distract me, right? And I know it's trying to do this. So basically, not that I allow it, but I know it's there and I recognize it's there. So I keep playing the game. And once I reach a certain goal or whatever, it after a while it loses. It just can't. It's not. It knows it's not winning. So there's always we're always under a constant attack in regarding to our minds being distracted and taken over.
Yeah, and they are very good at that.
They're good at it because nobody's aware that it's going on.
Hmm.
See, if I can assault you without you knowing that it's me assaulting you, I can be very effective in causing you a lot of discomfort.
Yeah.
But once you know it's me that's doing it to you, then you're ready to kick my ass, more or less, right? You're ready to fight. So that's how that works. You know, the only reason they are so successful because they're in the dark. They're not in the light. They're not coming at you one-on-one. They're using underhanded means to assault you. If they're coming at you one-on-one, it'd be a hell of a battle. And they may win or they may lose, but either way, it's resources that it costs them. So this is the way they do it now, through their hidden agendas and their hidden techniques and hidden technologies. Because once everybody starts getting awoken to this, like I said, there won't be any place on the planet that these things that are on here will be able to hide. And that artificial intelligence will be dismantled so fast, it won't even be funny.
Do you think we will have the opportunity to turn it around? Will we make it? Or do you think in general this is going down in a handbasket?
I think the system needs to go down.
Mm-hmm.
I think it needs to be wiped out. It's a shit for brain system. You know, it keeps people in that state of mentality. It's shit for brains.
Mm.
I think a remnant is going to be preserved. I think that's what I work on more than anything else, is a remnant. People are awake to keep them healthy and you know, exchanging information all the time so that we can keep a remnant around. That I see happening. I see the system has to go. It has to go. The current system, the way it is right now, we can never evolve beyond whatever level we're at right now. Can't get past it. We're stuck in this shithole. So and that's what I call a shithole.
Mm-hmm.
Everything's built on a lie. Everything's been fabricated on deception. We don't have anything honorable here. We don't have anything with any kind of real moral or ethical value here. We don't have anything really spiritual. The term spiritual is so overused and the word is so utilized. It doesn't mean anything anymore. You know, I don't call myself a Christian because I think that's another term that's been just basically shot to shit. I'm a believer. That's more the truth anyway than anything else. Yeah, and when I hear the rhetoric going on in the religious circles, I think, what a joke. They're leading people into this antichrist equation or anti-life equation. They're leading people to this. So I think, you know what, it's not something people need to pay attention. You know, they're not being taught some humanistic ideologies or some new age bullshit that doesn't explain it. It gives you an explanation, but it doesn't give you any answers. You know.
Yeah, what I meant is, do you think to turn it around is, when I look at this, I have the impression there is a race going on to finally lock us down, you know, with a 5G, with constantly staring at our phones, with the social credit system.
You're talking about a one world government. That's what I'm saying. This has to go down. This has to terminate. There is no way for us to really be who we're meant to be with this current system of a one world mentality. The millennial generation is pretty well awash. Okay, you got a handful of millennials that are awake, but the rest of us who are a little bit older, I'm a 50s baby. 50s babies, 60s babies, some of the 70 babies are awake. Get into 1980, 1990, 2000, a lot of them are dead. You know, they're just drones. You know, they don't want to know what's going on. They're happy with their lives because they've got money. They think they've got success, and those people need a tragedy. And the one thing good about war, there is one good thing about war. It destroys the system that's keeping people trapped. And it brings a certain sobriety to people they didn't have before. My mom's a survivor of the Second World War. And she told me all the things that went on during the Second World War where she was. The Germans were bombing the country every day, blah, blah, blah. British ships were being sunk in the harbor where she was because she was on Malta. And after the war, whatever systems that were there that had kept people in a specific way or whatever had changed. Everything had to evolve and everything had to be rebuilt. And when they rebuilt and started over. Unfortunately, the capitalistic system of the United States is what replaced what was currently before. It wasn't all bad, but again, it's all dependent on sustaining and supporting the United States. So when you got a system that's still is still acting like a dictatorship to the rest of the world, or whatever you want to call it, an empire, it shifted. You got some benefit. We'll give you toys. We're going to give you the toys. You can play with all the toys you want, but you got to give us your money. That's what has transpired. So now we're in a state where the corporations are now controlling everything, and now they want to lock everything down so you can make everything under one form of uniformity.
Hmm.
And I see that there will be a remnant of people that will not capitulate to this at all. In fact, I can see everybody leaving wherever they are, and they'll go to an area, they'll buy the lands or whatever they need to do and start their own little system, and they won't even be part of the techno insanity that will be going on. They may even get hunted down and killed for it. Possibility. But I think at this stage, it's going to play itself out. It's going to burn itself down, burn itself out. I think in the next shift, I think Russia and the United States will both be gone.
Gone in what way?
Gone in the sense of them being superpowers, having major influence on the planet. I think that'll be completely removed. The influences they'll have will be on a minor scale, if at all. I think China and India are the ones to watch at this stage. More so China. Europe already, Italy and France have signed a deal with China. I believe Italy signed a deal with Russia for their oil. I think now the Europeans are looking at Russia for the natural gas as a supplier. That's cutting into America's investments. They'll only take that for so long before they start to react. It'll just be a matter of time, you know.
Yeah, Italy wants to be part of the One Belt, One Road project.
Well, that's Rome's influence, eh?
What?
That is Rome's influence. The Vatican.
Yeah.
Because in
Yeah.
the one
Belt, One Road, that is China's initiative.
That too, but Rome would want that because Rome would then still be in charge.
Yeah, of course.
You know, there's going to be a major war in Europe. It's coming again. They've already set the stage. They've brought in the invaders already from the Middle East. The next war will reshape Europe and the Middle East completely. Which will make it easier to have that conduit of trade going from Europe to China. I think it's going to shift from going across the Atlantic to across the Mediterranean.
Mm. And then you have this axis of Berlin, Moscow, Peking.
Where's Berlin going to go?
I don't know, but that is, let's say they jump on that One Belt, One Road initiative as well.
I don't see them having any other choice.
Mm.
America makes its biggest money because it sells its goods to Europe.
Mm.
And Canada makes its money because it sells its stuff to the United States. And everything is hyperinflated in Europe. I can't send a simple parcel to Europe without costing a couple $100 just for shipping.
Mm-hmm.
If I want to send a bucket to Europe, it's going to cost about $600 just for the shipping. I may have gotten a deal maybe with DHL now, but still it's going to be between $300 and $400 just to ship the bucket.
Mm.
So, I mean, why is that? That makes no sense. Yet I can get something sent to me from China for free. I mean, that makes no sense. if I want to send something to Australia, it's the same thing like I'm sending to Europe, but it also applies in Canada. If I want to send something to Newfoundland, which is a Canadian province, it costs me almost as much to spend to send to Newfoundland as it does to send to Australia if I'm sending the same parcel. Go figure that one out. So, you know, and this is within my own country. So when we're looking at, you know, Germany, I don't see them going to have a choice. And the natural gas is going to be cheaper than buying it from the States. Ukraine is still getting natural gas shipped to it from the United States, and it's costing them twice as much than if they were to buy it from Russia. How much influence is America having with the Ukraine? You know, Afghanistan will be the same thing. So, I mean, none of this shit makes any sense, really, when you sit there and think about it. Even on an economical level, it makes no sense, but this is what's being done.
Yeah. You leave me. No, I'm not hopeless. No, that is not. But yeah, you leave me with a couple of thoughts.
Thoughts for sure. And okay, when I talk the way I talk, the way I look at it is this: I see it coming down the pipe. Then I start preparing myself for the events to come. Like I said, the best thing most people can do is start a self-employment or an enterprise. It's easy enough to do today with the internet. Doesn't matter what you sell. You can sell socks. Anything that you can bring in above and beyond what you're normally bringing in is a venue for you. And instead of putting your money into a bank, leave it at home. Why pay taxes on it twice? Leave it at home. You want to invest in investments or, you know, whatever, tech investments, genetic investments, whatever you think is going to be worthwhile. So if I was going to invest in anything, I'd be investing in vinegar. I'd be investing in everyday things. I'm not going to get rich, but I'm going to have a steady flow of income. Telecommunications is another thing. You know, it's always going to be around. Pharmaceuticals I won't invest in because I don't want to support things that are going to further cause my body to be genetically damaged. But things like that you can do. If you know the Silk Gate is going to go that way, then it would only make sense to see if you can incorporate a connection with China somewhere to be a supplier for your company. They'll build it, they'll send it to your customer, you collect the money. You take the order, and again, there's ways around that. Europe is going to change, you know. Ideologies are going to change. And you just have to start thinking being off-grid, you know. I do that all the time. I'm always thinking about off-grid. I'm always trying to come up with ideas where I can be more off-grid than I am now. But yeah, being off the grid is probably the best solution you could have. If you're not on the grid, you don't show up. So, you know, it's not totally hopeless because again, if you form a more perfect union with other people who are like-minded, you'll create the remnants in your area. People that will come. You know, if you start to stop, people eventually will start coming, because eventually the older people, especially they're already half awake. The people you're not going to reach are making a big affluential money because in their world, everything's all right. They can do whatever they want. They seem to have a sense of freedom, whatever. Until a calamity hits, it won't change.
Yeah. And on that note, Tony, I thank you very much for coming. It was very interesting, as usual. Remember last time when I said people who have never heard it might feel that they have been slapped for an hour. I had somebody tell me in the comment section, and yes, I felt slapped for the hour.
Well, if it wakes them up, I don't apologize. It's not that I want to slap you. I just want to bring it to your attention that under the soapbox bullshit that we've been taught, this is the undertone that's going on. And when you start, now that I mention this, it's just like anything else. Once you mention something, then people will start looking and they'll start saying if what I'm saying has any merit or truth to it, which is what they should do anyway. And when they start seeing that, hey, this guy's telling it the way it is, he's telling it how it is, this is what's going on. And you're in Europe, and you're caught between the States and Russia and China as well. So you know what's going on more so than I do. I get it secondhand sometimes, you know, or I get people from Europe calling me and telling me stuff that's going on in Europe. So you guys know how precarious things are can be there. I mean, you know, and you understand. I got it anyway that the war in the Second World War for sure was just another corporocracy creating that conflict. They blame people, you know, the Germans did this. Well, the Germans was the tool of the day, if you will, you know. Then I hear stuff about, you say something about the Holocaust, you get in trouble in Germany. See, I mean, that to me is a loss of freedom of speech and expression. Why shouldn't that be challenged? You know, why shouldn't they be looking at that more closely? You know, it may not be all that they're saying it is, you know, and then to have a government censor people because they want to investigate the truth about what really went on. See, I have a different take on that whole thing. I don't think it was 5 million Hebrews that died. I think it were Christians that died. That's what I think. I'm not saying that Hebrews didn't die. Don't get me wrong. And I'm not saying they didn't suffer either. But when I saw a picture where you had all these people laying on the road. They did not look like Hebrews to me. They looked like Europeans. So, and it's always been Christians that have always taken the brunt of any kind of persecution historically. So I don't buy into that whole thing anymore either. I think that was a lot of propaganda there, and I think that propaganda was there to beat Germans over the head. Look what you bad guys did. You bad guys, you know. It was war. You know, a lot of Germans weren't for that war either. A lot of Germans wanted that war to end. Some Germans even tried to take Hitler out. But that's never reported.
No. So. And it's very strange when, you know, you can no longer ask questions, but they try to punish you because you ask questions. I mean, what insanity is that?
Well, my question is, what are they hiding?
Yeah.
What are they hiding? Okay, I saw a video of Germany after it was at the end of the war and they were defeated. Churchill was flying 1,000 planes, American and British aircraft, and they're dropping phosphorus bombs. Now I could only stand for 5 minutes looking at this because they were destroying Germany. Those phosphorus bombs were more deadly than the Nagasaki and Hiroshima bombs. They caused more damage and more destruction than those two bombs combined. And they were laying waste to parts of Germany that weren't even involved in the war. So what was in those places in Germany that they were trying to burn and bury? So that was my questions. And then when I started seeing some of the things that were going on, I had to turn it off. I couldn't take it anymore. I mean, once a country's beaten, Churchill was a bigger despot than Hitler could have ever been. He had no humanity.
And Eisenhower as well. The death camps that he erected on the Rheinwiesen here, where the Germans were just sitting outside with nothing, no roof over their head, sometimes for days, no food, and thousands of people were sitting there.
That's my point. And if you can't ask those questions, then what are they hiding? You know, that whole war was a bunch of bullshit all the way around. You know, that was just basically an affront on Europe, complete affront on Europe to destroy Europe's because each country had their own autonomy. You know, and when you look at Poland and Czechoslovakia and some of those other places, they were already advanced societies back then. They had what they had, what America had, was like night and day, and they destroyed that. So when you look at the concept that you cannot ask these questions anymore, my first thing in my mind is, what are you hiding? What are you hiding? You know, why can't we? Why is it we can talk about Muslims, we can talk about Christians, we can talk about Catholics, we can talk about Protestants, we can talk about Hindus and Buddhists and what God knows what else. We talk about people of different ethnicities and colors, yet we can't talk about this specific topic. What is so special about this topic? What makes it so taboo? So I think those questions should be asked. I think the reality of what's going on in Europe, so they don't get caught up in this game again. You know, whether or not they will, that's another story. All depends how easy it is to brainwash the general population. But these questions need to be asked. I mean, just look what happened in the United States with Vietnam. Why were we in Vietnam? Because we were going to try to save the people and give them democracy. That's what they told. That's what they told everybody then. But that was all there, again, to protect the corporations that were in Vietnam. That's what that was all about.
Yeah.
You know, it's all been about corporations and banks that start these wars. So the reason and the bullshit that goes with it is like, holy cow, you got to be kidding me, right? And people buy into it.
Yeah, it's never about democracy. Never.
No. It's about the Washington face on the piece of paper that's painted green.
Yeah.
You know, I have no illusions anymore with this. I've been around, I've seen this stuff, and nothing's what they sell you anyway. And the television keeps on perpetrating the lies. You know, everyone keeps watching television, believing, oh my gosh, you know. So it's like, I don't have any illusions about politicians either. I listen to them. I don't believe any of them. Like I said, I like what Putin says, but again, I think given the right opportunity, he will step in and start to create major waves as well. And I think he's building momentum. But for now, I give him the benefit of a doubt. But I do like what he says. I do like the way he's going. I do like what he's doing for this country. It reminds me of Ronald Reagan back in the 80s. When Reagan did the same thing. They did the exact same thing. He rebuilt the country's military industrial complex. He had it all ready to go. He was, at that point, the new empire of the planet, or new emperor. So we'll see. I see a lot of similarities between him and Putin.
Okay, yeah, I guess we will see. So, my fellow dwellers on the slave plantation, this was it. Night flight for today. I thank Tony very much for coming, and we see you all next time. Bye-bye.